The bathroom floor is cold beneath Janelle Porter's thighs. She presses her back against the tub, knees drawn up to her chest, white gauze wrapped tight around her head. The fabric smells like antiseptic and copper. A bruise blooms dark purple beneath her left eye, swollen and tender to the touch. Her fingers tremble as they clutch the cracked phone screen, the only source of light in the dim room. Outside the locked door, footsteps pace back and forth across hardwood. Slow, methodical. Jacob isn't yelling anymore. That's worse. He only gets quiet when he's angry enough to do something reckless. Janelle swipes to her contacts with shaking hands. Sierra. She needs Sierra. Her vision blurs with tears as she types frantically. Help me. He's coming back. Please. She hits send before checking the name at the top of the screen. The message delivers with a soft whoosh. She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, smearing mascara across her knuckles. Her chest tightens. Every breath feels like swallowing glass. The footsteps stop. Silence stretches long and terrible. Then Jacob's voice cuts through the apartment, low and measured. Janelle. He says her name like a threat wrapped in velvet. You better open this door before I do. The door handle jiggles once, twice. She holds her breath, pressing her palm against her mouth to muffle the sound of her panic. Her phone buzzes in her hand. She looks down, expecting Sierra's familiar string of emojis and rapid-fire questions. Instead, the message reads, "Who is he?" Janelle's heart stutters. That's not Sierra. The number at the top of the screen is unfamiliar. She scrolls up through her contacts in horror and realizes her mistake. She texted someone one slot down from Sierra's name. A wrong number. A complete stranger. Before she can type an apology, another message appears. Stay where you are. Don't talk back to him. I'm on my way. Her hands freeze over the keyboard. Who is this? How does he know she's hiding? The certainty in those words feels impossible, but something about the tone, firm, calm, unshaken, makes her lungs expand with the first real breath she's taken in an hour. Outside, Jacob jiggles the handle harder. Why are you hiding from me? His voice rises slightly, frustration bleeding through. You think anyone will help you? You think anyone cares? The door shudders as he leans his weight against it. Janelle shuts her eyes tight, willing herself to disappear. Her phone buzzes again. She looks down through blurred vision. I need your address. Right now. She types with trembling fingers. Maple Ridge Apartments. Unit 3B. Back stairwell. The reply comes in seconds. Don't worry. I'll handle it. She doesn't know what that means. She doesn't know who he is. But the words settle over her like a blanket she didn't know she needed. The bathroom door shudders violently as Jacob throws his shoulder against it. The hinges groan but hold. Open this door, Janelle. His voice cracks with anger now, losing the careful control. She presses herself harder against the tub, phone clutched to her chest. Her screen lights up one more time. I'm already here. Janelle's breath catches in her throat. Already here? That's impossible. She sent the address less than a minute ago. How could anyone? A loud crash echoes through the apartment. Not the bathroom door. The apartment entrance. With splintering, metal scraping. Jacob spins away from the bathroom, his footsteps retreating rapidly. Who they? His voice pitches higher, confusion replacing rage. Janelle's ears ring with the sudden silence that follows. No more pacing, no more threats, just the faint sound of expensive leather shoes moving across her living room floor with absolute confidence. A voice speaks from the other side of the bathroom door. Deep, steady, controlled. Step away from the door. The accent is subtle, Korean perhaps, but the English is perfect. Janelle has never heard this voice before. She doesn't know who it belongs to, but something in her chest unclenches at the sound of it. There's no anger in the tone, No urgency, just absolute certainty. Jacob mutters something incoherent. She hears his footsteps shuffle backward, the first sign of hesitation she's ever heard from him. You can't just, he starts. But the stranger cuts him off with 3 words that land like stones in still water. Leave, now. The silence that follows stretches impossibly long. Janelle counts her heartbeats. 5, 10, 15. Then she hears the shuffle of Jacob's sneakers retreating toward the apartment entrance. Faster now, stumbling slightly. The front door clicks shut. No slam, no shouted threats. Just the quiet, definitive sound of someone who knows when he's been outmatched. Janelle stares at the bathroom door, afraid to move. Her phone battery icon flashes red. 5% remaining. The screen dims to conserve power. She blinks at the sudden darkness, her eyes struggling to adjust. What if Jacob comes back? What if this stranger is worse? Her mind races through possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. 3 soft knocks break through her spiral. Janelle? The same calm voice says, "You can open the door." He knows her name. Of course he does. She typed it in one of her panicked messages. But hearing it spoken aloud by someone she's never met sends a chill down her spine. She reaches for the lock with trembling fingers, hesitates, then twists it slowly. The mechanism clicks. She pulls the door open a crack, just wide enough to see through. Standing in her hallway is a tall Korean man dressed in an immaculate black suit, the fabric catching the dim light from her living room lamp. His dark hair is slicked back with precision, not a strand out of place. A subtle tattoo peeks from the collar of his shirt, intricate black lines that disappear beneath the fabric. His posture is straight, composed, hands clasped loosely in front of him. His expression is unreadable, not cold, but carefully neutral. When his eyes meet hers, though, something shifts. They soften almost imperceptibly, dark brown irises reflecting concern rather than threat. "You must be Janelle," he says quietly. His voice carries the same unshakable calm from the text messages. She can only whisper through her raw throat, Who are you?" He lowers his phone so she can see the screen. Her own messages stare back at her. "Help me. He's coming back. Please." Below them, his replies. Steady, immediate, certain. "You texted me," he says simply, "and you said you needed help." Janelle swallows hard, tasting salt and fear. "I didn't mean to." She stops herself, unsure how to explain the mistake without sounding ungrateful. "I know," he interrupts gently, "but you still needed help. That's it. No drama. No demand for explanation. Just fact. The safety she feels isn't because he stormed in like a movie hero. He simply stands there like someone who doesn't need to prove anything. She stares past him at the open apartment door. The hallway beyond is empty, fluorescent lights humming faintly. "Where did he go?" she whispers, half afraid the answer will make Jacob materialize again. "I advised him to leave," the stranger answers simply. "He listened." She blinks at the understatement. Jacob has never listened to anyone. He's 6'2", built like he still plays college football, and uses his size to intimidate. Yet somehow this man calm, composed, not even physically imposing in an obvious way, made him flee. Why would he listen to you? The question sounds childish the moment it leaves her mouth. But she needs to understand. His eyes flick to the gauze wrapped around her head, then to the bruise darkening beneath her eye. When he speaks again, his voice drops even lower, more intimate. Because some men respond only to someone who doesn't fear them. He pauses, letting the words settle. "And I don't fear him." Janelle's knees buckle slightly. She reaches out to steady herself against the doorframe, her palm leaving a damp print on the painted wood. The adrenaline that's been holding her upright for the past hour drains away all at once, leaving her hollow and shaking. The stranger takes a half step forward, then stops himself, maintaining respectful distance. You should sit down, he suggests. It's not a command, just observation. She stumbles to the couch, her legs moving on autopilot. The apartment feels different now, larger, quieter, safer. She sinks onto the cushions and wraps her arms around herself. Her phone buzzes weakly in her hand. 4% battery. The screen flickers. She looks up at the stranger still standing in her hallway, backlit by the harsh fluorescent light from outside. How did you get here so fast? She asks. I only sent the address a minute before. I was close, he interrupts smoothly. Too smoothly. She narrows her eyes despite her exhaustion. That's not an answer. For the first time, something like amusement flickers across his features. No, he agrees. It's not. He doesn't elaborate. Instead, he steps farther into her apartment, moving with the careful grace of someone used to controlling every muscle. He closes the front door behind him. Not locking it, she notices, leaving her an escape route if she wants one. My name is Desmond Rue, he says, offering the information like a gift. And before you ask, yes, you texted a complete stranger. No, I don't make a habit of responding to wrong numbers. And no, I'm not going to hurt you. He lists each point with his fingers, clinical and precise. Janelle stares at him, trying to reconcile the expensive suit with the neck tattoo, the perfect posture with the casual way he speaks about violence. Her phone screen goes black. Dead. The sudden darkness makes her flinch. Desmond notices immediately. Do you have a charger? He asks. She nods toward the kitchen counter. He moves past her without touching anything else, retrieves the cable, and plugs her phone into the wall outlet near the couch. The screen lights up with the charging symbol. There, he says simply. Now you're not cut off. Janelle watches him move around her apartment with unsettling familiarity, as if he's done this before, stepped into someone's crisis and calmly restored order. Why did you come? She asks again, needing a better answer than his texts provided. Desmond turns to face her fully, hands loose at his sides. You sounded afraid, he says plainly. I don't ignore messages like that. Something inside Janelle cracks at those words. All the fear she's held together with trembling hands and locked bathroom doors spills over. She begins to cry silently, tears tracking hot lines down her cheeks, shoulders shaking with the effort of staying quiet. Desmond doesn't move closer. He doesn't touch her. He doesn't offer empty platitudes. He simply waits, patient and still, letting her breathe through it. When she lifts her head again, her vision swimming, he asks gently, And now, what would you like me to do? The question catches her off guard. No one has asked her what she wants in months. Jacob decided everything. Where they went, who she saw when she could leave. Even her friends had stopped asking, worn down by her excuses and cancellations. But this stranger, this Desmond Rue who appeared out of nowhere, stands in her living room and asks her to choose. A sound echoes from outside, footsteps in the hallway, growing louder. Janelle's breath stops. Her eyes snap to the door. Desmond follows her gaze, his expression shifting from neutral to alert in half a second. Stay here, he says quietly, already moving toward the entrance. His hand reaches for something inside his jacket. Janelle's heart hammers against her ribs. Is Jacob back? Did he bring someone? The footsteps pass by her door without slowing. A neighbor. Just a neighbor coming home late. Desmond relaxes fractionally, his hand emerging empty from his jacket. But Janelle saw the shape of what he'd been reaching for. Hard, angular, unmistakable. You have a gun, she whispers. It's not a question. Desmond turns back to her, his expression unreadable once more. Yes, he confirms, offering no justification. The single word hangs in the air between them, heavy with implications she's not ready to examine. Her phone buzzes weakly from the charger. 3% now, slowly climbing back to life. Desmond crosses the room with measured steps, his expensive shoes making almost no sound on her worn carpet. He stops near the window, pulling the curtain aside just enough to peer into the parking lot below. His eyes scan methodically, left to right, cataloging every shadow and movement. Janelle watches him from the couch, her breathing still uneven. The way he moves reminds her of something, not aggressive, but perpetually aware, like a man who's learned to see danger before it arrives. "Is he out there?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Desmond lets the curtain fall back into place. "No, but he'll come back eventually. Men like him always do." He says it matter-of-factly, without judgment or emotion. They can't accept losing control. The words settle over Janelle like ice water. She knows he's right. Jacob has never let anything go. Not an argument, not a perceived slight, certainly not a relationship he still considers his property. Desmond turns away from the window and studies her apartment with the same methodical attention he gave the parking lot. His gaze passes over the overturned lamp near the entrance, evidence of their earlier fight. The dent in the drywall where Jacob threw his phone. The scattered keys on the floor. He takes it all in without comment, his expression revealing nothing. When his eyes return to Janelle, she instinctively touches the gauze on her head, suddenly self-conscious. "How long?" he asks simply. She doesn't need him to elaborate. "6 months since I tried to leave," she answers, her voice cracking. "Almost 2 years before that." The numbers sound impossible when spoken aloud. 2 years of slowly shrinking herself, of learning which words triggered his anger, of apologizing for things that weren't her fault. 6 months of failed escape attempts, blocked numbers that somehow always got unblocked, surprise visits to her workplace. Desmond's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. It's the first real emotion she's seen cross his features. "You filed reports?" Janelle shakes her head, shame burning hot in her chest. "I tried once. He has a cousin who's a sergeant. The paperwork got lost." She laughs bitterly. "Or maybe I just didn't push hard enough. I don't know anymore. It's not your fault." Desmond's voice cuts through her spiral with absolute certainty. Men who abuse power know exactly how to use systems against their victims. He moves away from the window, but still maintains careful distance from her. "Your instinct to text for help was correct. The mistake was just fortunate timing." There's something in the way he says fortunate that makes Janelle look up sharply. Fortunate for who? A hint of something dark flickers across Desmond's features. "For you," he says smoothly. "Because I responded." He doesn't elaborate, but Janelle catches the implication beneath his words. Not everyone would have come. Not everyone would have arrived in time. Not everyone would have made Jacob retreat with just their presence. Her phone buzzes from the charger. 8% now. The screen lights up with a flood of notifications. Missed calls from Sierra. Frantic text messages asking if she's okay. Threats from Jacob's number promising he'll be back to talk when she's calmed down. Janelle's stomach turns reading them. Desmond notices her reaction. "May I?" he asks, gesturing toward the phone. She nods, too exhausted to question it. He picks up the device, his thumb scrolling through the messages with practiced efficiency. His expression never changes, but his fingers move faster as he reads. When he reaches the end, he sets the phone down carefully. "You need to document all of this," he says. "Screenshots, timestamps, everything. It builds a pattern." He pauses. "And you need to block his number. Tonight. He'll just use someone else's phone." Janelle counters weakly. "He always does." Desmond tilts his head slightly, considering. "Then we make it clear that's not acceptable either." The way he says, "we" sends a strange sensation through Janelle's chest. Not fear, but something closer to relief. She's not alone in this anymore, at least not tonight. A sudden noise from the hallway makes them both freeze. Footsteps again, but slower this time. Deliberate. They stop directly outside Janelle's door. Her heart slams against her ribs. Desmond raises one hand in a silent gesture. Stay quiet. He moves toward the door with the same careful grace, positioning himself where he can see through the peephole without being visible from outside. The footsteps linger. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Then they retreat, fading back down the hallway. Desmond watches through the peephole until the sound disappears completely. When he turns back to Janelle, his expression is grave. That wasn't random, he says quietly. Someone was checking to see if anyone was home. Janelle's mouth goes dry. Jacob. Desmond shakes his head slightly. Maybe. Or someone he sent. He pulls out his own phone, typing rapidly. The screen reflects blue light across his face, highlighting the sharp angles of his cheekbones and jaw. I'm having someone watch the building in trance, he explains, just as a precaution. Someone. Janelle's voice rises despite herself. Who are you? The question she's been avoiding finally breaks free. Desmond finishes typing and pockets his phone. When he meets her eyes, there's something like resignation in his expression. Someone who understands how dangerous men think, he answers carefully. Someone who knows how to make them stop. It's not really an answer, but Janelle is too tired to push. Her body aches everywhere. Her head throbs beneath the gauze. Her ribs hurt when she breathes too deeply. Her hands won't stop shaking. She closes her eyes for just a moment, trying to center herself. When she opens them again, Desmond is closer, not crowding her space, but near enough that she can see the concern in his expression. You should rest, he suggests. I'll stay until you feel safe enough to sleep. Janelle wants to argue that she'll never feel safe enough, that sleep feels impossible, that her mind won't stop replaying every sound and shadow. But exhaustion weighs heavier than fear right now. She nods mutely. Desmond moves to the armchair across from the couch, settling into it with his back to the wall so he can see both the door and the window simultaneously. He doesn't recline or relax. He simply sits, alert and present. Close your eyes, he says quietly. I'll wake you if anything happens. Janelle wants to trust him. Every instinct screams that she shouldn't. He's a stranger with a gun who knows how to intimidate violent men. But he also came when she called for help. He stood between her and danger. He asked what she wanted instead of deciding for her. Her eyes drift shut despite her resistance. The last thing she hears before exhaustion drags her under is Desmond's phone buzzing softly and his low voice murmuring in Korean. Words she doesn't understand but finds oddly comforting nonetheless. When she startles awake minutes or maybe hours later, he's exactly where she left him, still watching the door with unwavering focus. You're still here, she whispers, surprised. Desmond's eyes shift to her briefly, something unreadable in their depths. I said I would be, as if that explains everything, as if promises to strangers mean something absolute in his world. Janelle sits up slowly, wincing at the stiffness in her neck. Her phone shows 11:47 p.m. Only 40 minutes since she locked herself in the bathroom. Feels like days. Desmond notices her checking the time. Your friend Sierra has called 6 more times, he reports. You should let her know you're safe. Janelle reaches for the phone with trembling hands. Before she can unlock it, another text arrives from an unknown number. You can't hide forever. I know who's there. He can't protect you. Her blood turns to ice. She shows Desmond the screen wordlessly. His expression darkens. He's watching the building, Desmond says, his voice dropping to something colder, which means he saw me arrive. He stands fluidly, already typing on his own phone. That changes things. What does that mean? Janelle's voice pitches higher with renewed panic. Desmond meets her eyes, and for the first time she sees something dangerous beneath the calm exterior. It means, he says quietly, that I need to make my position very clear. Desmond moves to the window again, this time pulling the curtain fully aside. He stands there for a long moment, silhouetted against the amber streetlights, deliberately visible. Janelle watches from the couch, her heart hammering. "What are you doing?" she hisses. "Making him think twice." Desmond responds without turning. His posture is relaxed, almost casual, but there's something intentional about the way he stands. Shoulders back, chin slightly raised, utterly unafraid. After what feels like an eternity, he lets the curtain fall and returns to the center of the room. He's in a gray Honda Civic, parked 3 spaces from the entrance. Desmond recites the information like he's reading a shopping list. Pennsylvania plates, dent on the rear bumper. He's alone. Janelle blinks in confusion. "How could you possibly see all that from here?" "Because I know what to look for," Desmond answers simply. He pulls out his phone and shows her a photo. Jacob's car, exactly as described. The image zoomed in enough to show him sitting in the driver's seat, phone illuminated in his hand. "I took this while you were resting. He hasn't moved in 40 minutes. The level of surveillance should frighten her. But instead Janelle feels oddly protected. This stranger has been cataloging threats while she slept, building a tactical picture she doesn't fully understand. "What do we do?" she asks, surprised by her own use of we. When did this become a shared problem? Desmond considers for a moment, then settles back into the armchair. "We wait. He's testing to see if I'll leave. When I don't, he'll either escalate or retreat." His voice carries the weight of experience. Men like him need to feel in control. Right now, he feels the opposite. Janelle hugs her knees to her chest. What if he escalates? The question hangs in the air, heavy with implications. Desmond's expression doesn't change. "Then I'll handle it." 3 words, delivered with absolute certainty. Janelle wants to ask what handle means, but part of her doesn't want to know. Her phone buzzes. Another message from Jacob's number. "Tell your friend to leave. This is between us." Janelle shows it to Desmond. He reads it, then does something unexpected. He smiles. It's not warm or friendly. It's the smile of someone who's just been handed an advantage. "Good," he says, confusing her further. He's trying to negotiate. That means he's uncertain. How is that good? Janelle's voice cracks with frustration. He's still out there. Desmond leans forward slightly, his elbows resting on his knees, hands clasped together. Because uncertainty creates space. Space creates opportunities. And opportunities. He trails off meaningfully. Allow us to change the situation entirely. Before Janelle can respond, 3 sharp knocks sound at the door. Not gentle like Desmond's earlier knock. Hard, demanding, meant to intimidate. Janelle's breath catches. Desmond holds up one finger. Wait. He stands and approaches the door with measured steps, checking the peephole before speaking. Who is it? His voice carries through the wood, calm and professional. You know damn well who it is. Jacob's voice is muffled but recognizable, anger barely contained. Open this door so we can talk like adults. Janelle shrinks into the couch cushions, every muscle tensed for flight. Desmond glances back at her, one eyebrow raised in silent question. What do you want me to do? She shakes her head frantically. No, don't open it. Don't let him in. Desmond nods once in acknowledgement. The lady doesn't want to speak with you. He calls through the door, his tone remaining perfectly neutral. I suggest you leave. Who the hell are you? Jacob's voice rises, frustration bleeding through. This is between me and my girlfriend. You need to mind your business. Desmond's jaw tightens fractionally. She's not your girlfriend. And this became my business when she asked for help. Silence stretches from the hallway. Then Jacob's voice drops lower, taking on a false reasonableness that makes Janelle's skin crawl. Listen, man, I don't know what she told you, but you're getting involved in something you don't understand. This is just a misunderstanding. Couples fight. It's not a big deal. Desmond's expression hardens. I've seen the bruises. I've read the threatening messages. I've watched you sit in your car for an hour trying to intimidate her. He pauses, letting each statement land. There's no misunderstanding here. You're an abuser, and you need to leave. Now. The door shudders as Jacob kicks it. Once, twice. The frame groans but holds. You think you can keep me out? He shouts, abandoning all pretense of civility. That's my apartment. My girlfriend. You have no right. Desmond cuts him off, his voice dropping to something colder. I have every right to stand between a woman and someone who means her harm. He pauses, then adds with deliberate precision. And if you kick this door again, I'll call the police and show them the photo I took of you sitting in your car, stalking her building. Then I'll show them her injuries. Then I'll show them your threatening messages. How do you think that conversation will go? The silence that follows is absolute. Janelle can hear her own heartbeat in her ears. Then Jacob's voice comes again. Quieter now, dangerous. You don't know who you're dealing with. Desmond's response is immediate. Neither do you. The weight in those 4 words makes Janelle's breath catch. It's not a threat. It's a promise. A statement of fact delivered with such certainty that even she feels the shift in power. Outside the door, Jacob's footsteps retreat slightly. This isn't over, he mutters, but the conviction has bled from his voice. She's going to come back to me. She always does. Not this time, Desmond responds quietly. Because this time, she has someone watching. Janelle hears Jacob's sharp intake of breath, the shuffle of his sneakers on the hallway carpet. Then his footsteps fade away, faster than before, until the stairwell door clangs shut. Desmond remains at the door, watching through the peephole for a full minute before turning back to Janelle. His expression has softened again, the dangerous edge tucked carefully away. He's gone, he confirms. For now. Janelle releases the breath she'd been holding, her hands trembling violently. He'll come back, she whispers. He always comes back. I know. Desmond crosses the room and stops a respectful distance from the couch. Which is why we need to talk about what happens next. He settles back into the armchair, his posture still alert despite the calm in his voice. You have choices, Janelle. Real ones. And I'll help you execute whichever you choose. Janelle stares at him, her mind racing. Choices. When was the last time she felt like she had those? Her phone buzzes weakly. 15% battery now. The screen lights up with another message from Jacob. I'll be back when your bodyguard leaves. We'll see how brave you are then. Her stomach drops. Desmond notices her reaction and extends his hand. May I? She passes him the phone. He reads the message, his jaw tightening fractionally, then begins typing a response. What are you doing? Janelle asks nervously. Making something very clear, he responds, still typing. He shows her the screen before hitting send. This is Desmond Rue. If you contact Janelle again through any means, I will personally ensure you regret it. This is your only warning. Janelle's eyes widen. You can't just... But Desmond has already hit send. The message delivers with a soft whoosh. I just did, he says simply. Sometimes the clearest path forward is absolute transparency. His phone buzzes in his pocket. He checks it briefly, then pockets it again. My associate confirms Jacob just left the parking lot. He's heading east. You have someone following him? Janelle's voice pitches higher with disbelief. Desmond meets her eyes steadily. I have someone making sure he actually leaves, yes. There's a difference. He leans back slightly, the expensive fabric of his suit catching the lamplight. You asked who I am. The simple answer is someone with resources. Someone who understands how dangerous people operate. And someone who doesn't like bullies. Janelle studies him, really studies him this time. The perfect suit that probably costs more than her monthly rent. The neck tattoo that peeks above his collar, intricate and deliberate. The way he moves through space like he owns it. The phone that connects him to people who follow cars at a moment's notice. You're dangerous, she says quietly. It's not a question. Yes, Desmond confirms without hesitation. But not to you. The distinction hangs in the air between them, heavy with implication. Janelle should be frightened. Everything about the situation screams danger. Wrong number, strange man, implied violence, resources that appear from nowhere. But all she feels is exhausted relief. Her phone buzzes. This time it's Sierra, her actual friend, the one she meant to text in the first place. Janelle, where are you? I've been calling for hours. Are you safe? Should I come over? I'm getting in my car right now. Janelle's throat tightens with emotion. She types back quickly. I'm okay. Long story. Can I call you tomorrow? Sierra's response is immediate. You better. I'm coming over first thing in the morning. Don't try to stop me. Despite everything, Janelle almost smiles. That's Sierra. Fierce and loyal and completely unwilling to let her face things alone. She shows the exchange to Desmond. Your friend sounds protective, he observes. That's good. You need people like that. There's something in his tone that sounds almost wistful, but it passes too quickly for Janelle to name. She sets the phone down and wraps her arms around herself. The adrenaline that's kept her upright is finally draining away, leaving her hollow and shaking. I don't understand why you're helping me, she admits quietly. You don't know me. This isn't your problem. Desmond is silent for a long moment, his dark eyes distant. When he speaks, his voice is softer than before. I had a sister, he says carefully. She sent messages for help too. But the person she texted, he trails off, jaw working. He didn't come. By the time someone found her, it was too late. Janelle's breath catches. I'm sorry. The words feel inadequate, but Desmond shakes his head. Don't be sorry. Just understand, when I saw your message, I saw her. I saw every woman who's ever been trapped and afraid and convinced no one would help. He meets her eyes directly. So yes, I came. And I'll keep coming if you need me to. The rawness in his admission breaks something loose in Janelle's chest. She understands now this isn't about her specifically. It's about his sister. About all the women who slip through cracks in systems designed to protect them. About the guilt of surviving when someone you loved didn't. What was her name? She asks softly. Minji. Desmond's voice barely rises above a whisper. She was 23. He doesn't elaborate, and Janelle doesn't push. Some wounds are too deep to probe. They sit in heavy silence. Two strangers connected by accidents of timing and tragedy. Outside, the city continues its late-night rhythm. Distant sirens, car horns, the hum of traffic. Janelle's phone buzzes one final time. The screen shows a new message from Jacob. Fine, you win. But this isn't over. She shows it to Desmond. He reads it without expression, then stands fluidly. He's retreating for now, he says, which means we have time to put proper protections in place. What kind of protections? Janelle asks warily. Desmond moves to the window, checking the parking lot one more time before responding. Documentation, legal barriers, people who will respond if he violates those barriers. He turns back to her. You'll need to file a police report in the morning. I know an officer who will take it seriously. Then we'll get you a restraining order that actually gets enforced. You know an officer? Janelle's voice carries equal parts hope and skepticism. Jacob's cousin is a sergeant. He'll just make it disappear again. Desmond's expression hardens. Not if it goes through the right channels. Not if there's documentation that can't be buried. And not if someone with influence is paying attention. Janelle wants to believe him. She wants to believe that this time will be different. That Jacob won't worm his way back into her life through charm and threats and systematic erosion of her boundaries. But hope feels dangerous after so many failed attempts. And what happens when you leave? She whispers. When I'm alone again? Desmond returns to the armchair, settling into it with his characteristic careful grace. You're not alone, he says firmly. You have Sierra. You'll have legal protections. You'll have my number. He pulls a business card from his inner jacket pocket and sets it on the coffee table between them. If he tries to contact you, you call me immediately. If you feel unsafe, you call me. If you just need to talk to someone who understands, you call me. Janelle picks up the card with trembling fingers. It's simple, expensive cardstock with just a name, Desmond Rue, and a phone number. No company name. No title. What do you do? She asks, studying the sparse information. When you're not rescuing strangers from wrong number texts? A hint of dark humor touches Desmond's features. I solve problems, he answers vaguely. Usually for people who've run out of conventional options. It's not really an answer, but Janelle is learning that Desmond specializes in saying just enough to be honest without revealing everything. She suspects she doesn't want to know the full truth anyway. Her eyes drift to the clock on the wall. 12:47 a.m. She should sleep, but her mind won't stop racing. Every creak of the building sounds like footsteps. Every car door in the parking lot sounds like Jacob returning. Desmond notices her tension. You won't sleep tonight, he observes. Not really. Not until your body believes the danger has passed. How long does that take? Janelle asks wearily. Desmond considers before answering. It depends. Sometimes hours. Sometimes days. Sometimes. He pauses meaningfully. It requires seeing the threat neutralized completely. His eyes flick to the business card in her hand. Which is why you'll call me if he comes back. Janelle nods slowly, tucking the card into her pocket. The weight of it, small, insignificant, just pressed paper, feels heavier than it should. Like a promise. Like a lifeline. Like the difference between drowning and finally breaking the surface. Thank you, she whispers, the words catching in her raw throat. For coming, for staying, for everything. Desmond inclines his head in acknowledgement. Don't thank me yet, he says quietly. Thank me when you're free. The distinction sends a shiver down Janelle's spine. When, not if. As though her freedom is inevitable, just a matter of executing the right steps in the right order. She wants desperately to believe him. The apartment settles into uneasy quiet, broken only by the ambient sounds of late-night life. Janelle leans back against the couch cushions, exhaustion finally overtaking fear. Her eyelids grow heavy despite her resistance. The last thing she registers before sleep claims her is Desmond's steady presence across the room. Awake, alert, watching the door like a guardian who's made watching into an art form. Pale gray light filters through the curtains when Janelle's eyes flutter open. Her neck screams in protest from the awkward angle she slept in, and the gauze on her head has shifted during the night, hanging loose over one ear. She sits up slowly, disoriented, her mind scrambling to piece together where she is and why her entire body aches. Then memory crashes back. Jacob, the bathroom, the text message, Desmond. She looks toward the armchair. It's empty. Panic spikes through her chest until she hears water running in the kitchen. Desmond emerges a moment later carrying 2 mugs, his suit jacket draped over the chair back, his white shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows. The neck tattoo is more visible now, intricate designs that snake up toward his jaw, some kind of serpent or dragon, the lines precise and deliberate. "Coffee," he says simply, setting one mug on the table within her reach. "Black, because I didn't know what you take, and I didn't want to presume." Janelle accepts it with trembling hands, the ceramic warm against her palms. She takes a sip, strong, slightly bitter, exactly what she needs. "You stayed all night," she observes, her voice rough with sleep. "I said I would." Desmond settles back into the armchair with his own coffee, his posture still alert despite the obvious exhaustion around his eyes. "Nothing happened. Jacob didn't return. Your friend Sierra texted at 6 a.m. asking if you were awake. I didn't respond. Figured you should handle that yourself." Janelle checks her phone. 17% battery. 7 missed messages from Sierra, each more concerned than the last. She types quickly, "I'm okay. Still at home. Come over around 9? The response is immediate. "On my way now. Don't try to stop me." Janelle almost laughs. That's so perfectly Sierra. Concern wrapped in bossy determination. She looks up to find Desmond watching her with an unreadable expression. "Your friend will have questions," he says carefully. "About me. About last night. You should decide what you want to tell her." It's not a request for secrecy, more an acknowledgement that her story is hers to tell, not his to dictate. Janelle sets her coffee down, suddenly overwhelmed by the surreal reality of her situation. A Korean stranger in an expensive suit who appeared out of nowhere is sitting in her apartment after spending the night protecting her from her ex. It sounds like something from a movie, not her actual life. "I don't even know where to start explaining this," she admits. "Start with the truth," Desmond suggests. "You were in danger. You asked for help. Help arrived." He makes it sound so simple, as though the universe regularly arranges such precise interventions. "The details about who I am or how I got here so fast, those are less important than the fact that you're safe now." Safe. The word feels foreign on Janelle's tongue. She hasn't felt safe in 2 years. Even in the 6 months since she tried to leave Jacob, safety has been an illusion. Temporary, conditional, always one phone call or surprise visit away from shattering. "Am I," she asks quietly, "safe? Or am I just delaying the inevitable?" Desmond sets his coffee down and leans forward, elbows on his knees, his dark eyes locked on hers. "That depends on what you do next. If you go back to your old patterns, ignoring his messages, hoping he'll lose interest, convincing yourself it's not that bad, then yes, you're just delaying. But if you take action, real, documented, legal action, then you're building walls he can't climb." Janelle wants to believe him, but doubt creeps in around the edges. "You don't know Jacob. He's relentless. He'll find ways around restraining orders. He'll show up at my work. He'll harass my friends until they stop answering my calls. He always finds a way back in." "He finds ways back in because you've been fighting alone," Desmond counters gently. "Because the system has failed you before, so you stop trusting it. Because no one with real resources has stood between you and him." He pauses, letting his words settle. "But you're not alone anymore. And I don't fail." The absolute certainty in his voice sends a shiver down Janelle's spine. She studies him in the morning light, the expensive clothes, the visible tattoo, the phone that connects him to people who follow cars and watch buildings. "What are you?" she asks. Not who, but what, because Desmond Rue isn't just a helpful stranger. He's something else entirely. Desmond's expression doesn't change. "I'm someone who solves problems that conventional methods can't fix. I'm someone with connections in places most people don't know exist. And I'm someone who understands that sometimes protection requires being willing to step outside comfortable boundaries." He doesn't elaborate, but Janelle understands the subtext. He's offering something that exists in gray areas, help that doesn't quite follow standard procedures. Before she can respond, her phone buzzes. A new message from an unknown number. Tell your Korean friend he made a big mistake threatening me. There are consequences for that. Janelle's blood runs cold. She shows Desmond the screen. He reads it without visible reaction, then types something on his own phone before responding to her. Jacob is escalating because he feels powerless. This is actually a good sign. How is that good? Janelle's voice pitches higher with stress. He's threatening you now. Desmond's expression remains calm. Exactly. He's threatening me instead of you, which means his attention has shifted. And when someone's attention shifts, they make mistakes. He sets his phone down. I just forwarded that message to my contact in the police department. It's documentation of harassment and implied threats. It builds your case. Janelle blinks in surprise. You're using his anger against him. Desmond nods once. Every message he sends, every boundary he crosses, every threat he makes, they're all evidence. We're building a pattern that can't be ignored or buried by his cousin. He picks up his coffee, taking a slow sip. By tomorrow, you'll have enough documentation to file for a permanent restraining order. One that actually gets enforced. The apartment buzzes. Someone at the main entrance. Janelle's heart jumps. Desmond stands smoothly, moving to the intercom. Who is it? He calls through the speaker. It's Sierra. A woman's voice responds, sharp with concern. Let me up right now or I'm getting the building manager. Desmond glances at Janelle for confirmation. She nods and he buzzes her friend up. Within seconds, hurried footsteps echo in the hallway. The knock that follows is rapid and urgent, pure Sierra energy. Janelle stands, wincing at the stiffness in her muscles, and opens the door. Sierra bursts through, her brown eyes wild with worry, her natural curls pulled back in a hasty ponytail. She's still wearing scrubs from her nursing shift, a coffee stain visible on the left sleeve. Janelle Porter, you scared the absolute. She stops mid-sentence when she sees Desmond standing near the kitchen. Her eyes narrow. Who the hell is this? Janelle closes the door quickly. This is Desmond. He's the reason I'm okay. The explanation sounds inadequate even to her own ears. Sierra looks between them, processing Desmond's expensive clothes, the visible tattoo, the way he stands like he's ready for something to happen. Okay, she says slowly. We need to talk. Now. Desmond inclines his head respectfully. I'll give you privacy. I need to make some calls anyway. He collects his suit jacket from the chair, sliding it on with practiced ease. I'll be in the hallway if you need me. He moves toward the door, but Sierra blocks his path, her 5'3" frame radiating protective fury. Wait, before you go anywhere. Did you hurt her? Sierra demands, her voice dropping to something dangerous. Because if you did, I don't care how expensive your suit is or how many tattoos you have. I will end you. Desmond's expression softens fractionally. I didn't hurt her. I responded when she needed help. That's all. Sierra studies him for a long moment, her nurse's instinct for reading people working overtime. Finally, she steps aside. Fine, but I'm watching you. Desmond nods once, accepting her terms, then slips out into the hallway. The door closes behind him with a soft click. The moment he's gone, Sierra spins on Janelle. Start talking. What happened? Why is there a gorgeous Korean man in a designer suit standing guard in your apartment at 8 in the morning? And her voice cracks. Oh God, your head. Did Jacob do that? Janelle sinks back onto the couch, suddenly exhausted again. It's a long story. Sierra sits beside her, taking Janelle's hands in her own. I have all day. Tell me everything. So Janelle does. She tells her about the fight with Jacob, about hiding in the bathroom, about the wrong number text that changed everything. She tells her about Desmond's arrival, about how he made Jacob leave without violence, about his offer to help with documentation and legal protection. Sierra listens without interrupting, her expression cycling through horror, relief, and deep concern. When Janelle finishes, Sierra is quiet for a long moment. Okay, she finally says. So you accidentally texted someone who's either a guardian angel or extremely dangerous, and he showed up to protect you from Jacob. Do I have that right? More or less, Janelle confirms weakly. Sierra squeezes her hands tighter. And you trust him? This Desmond. Janelle thinks about the question carefully. Does she trust him? She doesn't know him. She doesn't know what he does or who he really is. But she knows he came when she called. She knows he stood between her and danger. She knows he asked what she wanted instead of deciding for her. I trust that he won't hurt me, Janelle answers slowly. I trust that he wants to help. Beyond that, she trails off, unsure how to articulate the complex mixture of gratitude and wariness she feels. Sierra nods, understanding even what Janelle can't say. Okay, then we accept his help, but carefully. And you're staying with me for a few days. I don't care if Jacob's gone. You're not staying here alone. Relief washes through Janelle. She hadn't wanted to ask, hadn't wanted to impose, but the thought of staying in this apartment alone terrifies her. Thank you, she whispers. Sierra pulls her into a fierce hug, careful of her injuries. That's what friends are for, she murmurs. That's what I should have done 6 months ago when you first tried to leave. They sit together in the quiet apartment, two friends who've weathered storms together before and will weather this one too. Outside in the hallway, Janelle can hear Desmond's low voice speaking in Korean, calm and measured. She wonders who he's talking to, what resources he's mobilizing, what plans he's making. Part of her wants to know. Part of her is afraid to find out. Her phone buzzes. Another message from Jacob. I see your nurse friend showed up. Cute. You think surrounding yourself with people will keep me away forever? Janelle's hands start shaking again. Sierra reads the message over her shoulder and her face hardens. That's it. We're going to the police. Right now. I don't care if his cousin is a sergeant. We're filing a report and we're documenting every single thing he's done. Desmond said the same thing, Janelle admits. Sierra stands, pulling Janelle to her feet. Then Desmond is smarter than he looks. Come on, get changed. We're doing this before you can talk yourself out of it. She pauses. And your mysterious bodyguard is coming with us. Because honestly, I feel safer with him around and I don't even know him. Janelle almost laughs at the absurdity of it all. 24 hours ago, she was convinced she'd never escape Jacob's orbit. Now she has a best friend demanding immediate action and a stranger with dangerous eyes offering protection. It's surreal and terrifying and somehow the first real hope she's felt in 2 years. She changes quickly into clean clothes, wincing as she peels off the gauze to reveal the tender wound beneath. Not as bad as it felt last night. No stitches needed, just a deep bruise and a small cut. She replaces the bandage with a clean one, then pulls on jeans and a soft sweater. When she emerges, Sierra is talking quietly with Desmond by the door, their conversation too low to hear. Both turn when she approaches. Desmond's eyes scan her quickly, cataloging her state. You're ready? He asks. Janelle nods, squaring her shoulders. I'm ready. For the first time in longer than she can remember, she actually means it. The police station smells like industrial cleaner and burnt coffee. Fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting everything in harsh white light that makes Janelle's head ache. She sits in an uncomfortable plastic chair, Sierra on her left, Desmond standing slightly behind them both like a silent sentinel. The officer across the desk, Detective Laura Chun, according to the nameplate, types methodically on her keyboard, her expression neutral but attentive. And you're certain he has no legal right to be in your apartment? Detective Chun asks for the third time. Her tone isn't accusatory, just thorough. Janelle nods, keeping her voice steady. We broke up 6 months ago. I changed the locks. He has no key and no permission to enter. She pulls out her phone, showing the string of threatening messages. He's been harassing me ever since. Detective Chun leans forward, reading through the messages with professional focus. Her jaw tightens fractionally. These constitute harassment and stalking under state law, she says quietly, combined with the physical evidence of assault. Her eyes flick to Janelle's bandaged head. We have grounds for immediate intervention. She types more notes, then looks up at Desmond. And you are a friend, Desmond answers smoothly. I happened to be nearby when Janelle needed help. The lie is delivered with such calm certainty that it sounds like truth. Detective Chen's eyes narrow slightly. She's clearly not fooled, but she doesn't push. This friend who happened to be nearby. Did you witness the assault? I witnessed the aftermath, Desmond clarifies. And I witnessed the defendant attempting to force entry to her apartment while making verbal threats. He pulls out his phone, showing Chun the photo he took of Jacob's car. I also documented him conducting surveillance on her building for over an hour. Chun studies the photo, then makes more notes. That's good documentation. Very thorough. There's a question in her tone that she doesn't quite ask. How did a civilian have the presence of mind to gather this evidence so efficiently? Desmond simply nods, offering no explanation. There's something else you should know, Desmond adds carefully. The defendant has family connections within the police department. A cousin who's a sergeant. Janelle attempted to file a report 6 months ago, and it was never processed. He says it diplomatically, but the implication hangs heavy in the air. Chen's expression hardens. I see. And do you know which sergeant? Desmond glances at Janelle, who swallows hard before answering. Marcus Henderson. He works in the 4th precinct. Chen's fingers pause over her keyboard. Something shifts in her face. Recognition, perhaps frustration. I'm familiar with Sergeant Henderson, she says neutrally. I can assure you this report will not be misplaced. She turns back to her computer, typing rapidly. The clicking of keys fills the uncomfortable silence. Sierra squeezes Janelle's hand under the desk. Finally, Chun swivels her monitor so Janelle can see. This is a temporary restraining order. It prohibits Jacob Henderson from contacting you through any means, approaching within 500 feet of your residence or workplace, or attempting to communicate through third parties. Violation carries immediate arrest. Janelle reads through the text, hardly daring to believe it's real. How long does it last? Chun clicks through several screens. This temporary order is effective immediately and lasts for 14 days. During that time, we'll schedule a hearing for a permanent restraining order. Given the evidence you've provided, physical injuries, documented threats, photographic evidence of stalking, I'm confident the judge will grant the permanent order. What if he violates it? Sierra asks, her voice sharp with protective concern. What if he shows up anyway? Chen's expression is grim but determined. Then he gets arrested. No warnings, no second chances. And if Sergeant Henderson tries to interfere, he'll find himself under internal affairs investigation. She looks directly at Janelle. I can't undo what happened to your first report, but I can promise you this one won't disappear. Janelle feels something crack open in her chest. Not quite hope, but close. Thank you, she whispers. Chen's expression softens fractionally. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when you're safe. The echo of Desmond's words from last night sends a shiver down Janelle's spine. She glances back at him, finding his dark eyes already watching her with unreadable intensity. Chun prints several copies of the restraining order, sliding them across the desk. Keep one with you at all times. Give copies to your workplace, your building manager, anyone who might need to enforce it. She pauses. And if he contacts you, even once, you call me directly. She writes a phone number on the back of her business card. That's my cell. Day or night. Janelle accepts the card with trembling hands, tucking it carefully into her wallet next to Desmond's minimalist card. 2 lifelines now, 2 people who've promised to answer when she calls. Feels surreal. Chun turns her attention to her computer again, pulling up a new file. There's something else you should know about Jacob Henderson. The shift in her tone makes everyone lean forward slightly. Chen's fingers navigate through what looks like police records, her expression growing darker. He has a history, nothing that resulted in charges, but multiple reports from previous partners. 3 women over the past 5 years, all describing similar patterns: initial charm, gradual isolation, escalating control, eventual violence. Janelle's stomach drops. 3. Her voice comes out strangled. There were 3 others before me? Chun nods grimly. And those are just the ones who filed reports. There are likely more who didn't. She clicks through more screens. 2 of those reports were filed through the 4th precinct. Both were dismissed as domestic disputes that didn't warrant intervention. Let me guess, Desmond says quietly from behind them. Sergeant Marcus Henderson handled those reports. Chen's silence is answer enough. The pieces click together in Janelle's mind with horrifying clarity. Jacob's cousin hasn't just been covering for him. He's been systematically burying evidence, protecting a serial abuser, enabling the pattern to continue. Sierra's grip on Janelle's hand tightens almost painfully. That's conspiracy, she hisses. That's criminal. Chen's expression remains carefully neutral. That's an ongoing internal investigation that I'm not at liberty to discuss. But her eyes say what her words can't. Yes, and we're building a case. Janelle feels dizzy with the weight of it all. She wasn't paranoid. She wasn't overreacting. She was right to be afraid, right to feel trapped, right to believe the system had failed her. The other women, she asks quietly, are they okay? Chen's pause before answering tells Janelle everything. 2 relocated out of state. 1 is currently in a women's shelter in Philadelphia. The unspoken 4th outcome, what happened to Minji, hangs heavy in the air. Desmond's hand rests briefly on the back of Janelle's chair, not touching her, just a reminder of his presence. Which is why this stops now, he says quietly. Why this report gets filed correctly. Why the restraining order gets enforced. Why Sergeant Henderson's interference gets documented and investigated. Chen nods once, sharp and determined. Agreed. She prints several more documents, adding them to Janelle's growing file. I'm also flagging your address in our system. If any calls come in from your location, responding officers will be briefed on the situation and the restraining order. They'll know to take immediate action. Janelle stares at the stack of papers in front of her. Official documentation of her nightmare, transformed into something the system can finally address. What happens if he still comes back? She asks, voicing the fear that's been gnawing at her since last night. What if paperwork isn't enough? Chen's expression is serious but honest. Then you call me, and I'll send officers immediately. But Janelle, she leans forward, her voice dropping. You need to understand that restraining orders are deterrents, not force fields. They work because most people fear consequences. But if Jacob is willing to risk arrest, she trails off meaningfully. Then I'll handle it, Desmond interjects smoothly. Chen's eyes cut to him, sharp and assessing. Handle it how exactly? The question carries weight. A cop asking a civilian with expensive clothes and neck tattoos what kind of handling he's offering. Desmond meets her gaze steadily. Within legal boundaries, detective. I have resources for personal security that Janelle can access if needed. The 2 of them stare at each other for a long moment, some unspoken communication passing between them. Finally, Chun nods slowly. Legal boundaries, she repeats meaningfully. I'll trust that you understand what that means. Desmond's slight smile suggests he understands perfectly. Of course. Sierra looks between them, confusion and frustration warring on her face. Am I missing something here? Do you two know each other? Chun shakes her head. No, but I recognize competence when I see it. She doesn't elaborate, and Desmond doesn't offer explanation. The moment passes, but Janelle files it away. Another piece of the puzzle that is Desmond Rue. Chun stands, extending her hand to Janelle. You did the right thing coming in. I know it took courage. Janelle shakes her hand, surprised by the firmness of the grip. Keep those documents safe, stay vigilant, and remember, you're not alone in this anymore. As they exit the station into bright morning sunlight, Janelle feels simultaneously lighter and heavier. Lighter because she's finally taken real action. Heavier because she now knows the full scope of what she's been dealing with, a systematic pattern enabled by institutional failure. Sierra wraps an arm around her shoulders. I'm proud of you, she murmurs. That was hard, and you did it anyway. Desmond walks slightly ahead, his eyes scanning the parking lot with habitual vigilance. He pauses beside a black sedan that definitely wasn't there when they arrived. A man in a dark suit stands beside it. One of Desmond's people, Janelle realizes. They exchange brief words in Korean before Desmond returns to them. I'm having my associate sweep your apartment, he explains, making sure Jacob didn't return while we were gone. You think he would? Janelle's voice pitches higher with renewed anxiety. Desmond's expression is apologetic but realistic. I think desperate people do desperate things. Better to confirm safety than assume it. His phone buzzes. He checks it, then nods once. Building is clear. Jacob hasn't been back. They drive back to Janelle's apartment in Sierra's slightly battered Honda, Desmond following in the black sedan. Janelle watches him in the side mirror, maintaining careful distance, always aware. Okay, Sierra says, breaking the silence. I need you to explain to me who exactly Desmond Rue is, because that man is not just a friend who happened to be nearby. Janelle sighs, leaning her head against the cool window. I don't know exactly. Someone with money, someone with connections, someone who... She trails off, searching for words. Someone who knows how to navigate dangerous situations. Sierra snorts. That's one way to describe someone who clearly has ties to organized crime. You think he's... Janelle can't finish the sentence. Sierra glances at her, sympathy in her eyes. Babe, the expensive suit, the neck tattoo, the people who appear when he calls, the way Detective Chun looked at him? Yeah. I think he's involved in something. Maybe not illegal, but definitely not conventional. She pauses. The question is, does that matter to you? Janelle thinks about it carefully. Does it matter? Desmond came when she called. He protected her without asking for anything in return. He's helping her navigate systems that have failed her before. Whatever else he might be, he's been nothing but respectful and supportive to her. No, she finally answers. It doesn't matter. Not right now. Back at the apartment, Sierra helps Janelle pack an overnight bag while Desmond checks every window and door, ensuring they're secure. The normalcy of folding clothes and gathering toiletries feels surreal against the backdrop of restraining orders and surveillance photos. Janelle is tucking her phone charger into the bag when Sierra's phone buzzes. She checks it and her face pales. Janelle. The tone makes Janelle's stomach drop. What? Sierra turns her phone around, showing a text from her own boyfriend Marcus. Different Marcus, not Jacob's cousin. The message reads, your friend should tell her bodyguard to back off. Word's getting around, and people are asking questions. This could get messy. Janelle looks to Desmond, who's already crossing the room to read the message. His expression darkens. "Define people," he says quietly. Sierra shakes her head. "Marcus works security at the hospital. He hears things, but he wouldn't say it unless it was serious." Desmond pulls out his own phone, typing rapidly. Jacob's spreading word that someone's interfering in his personal business. He's trying to rally support, make this about territory or respect rather than what it actually is. He looks up at Janelle. This changes tactics. He's escalating faster than expected. Before anyone can respond, a loud knock sounds at the door. Aggressive, demanding. All three of them freeze. Desmond holds up a hand for silence, moving to the peephole. His jaw tightens. "It's Jacob," he says quietly. "And he's not alone." Janelle's blood runs cold. Not alone. Desmond's hand moves to his jacket, resting on what Janelle now knows is a gun. 3 others. Looks like friends providing backup. His eyes meet Janelle's. "Stay in the bedroom. Both of you. Now." "Absolutely not," Sierra hisses. "You can't face 4 men alone." But Desmond is already gently but firmly guiding them toward the bedroom. "I've handled worse odds. Please, let me do what I'm good at." There's no ego in his voice, just calm certainty. Janelle pulls Sierra into the bedroom, leaving the door cracked just enough to hear. The knocking intensifies, then Jacob's voice cuts through the wood. "Janelle, I know you're in there. We need to talk." There's something different in his tone. Not the controlled anger from last night, but barely contained rage fueled by wounded pride. "Your Korean friend can't hide you forever." Desmond opens the door, but only wide enough to stand in the threshold, his body blocking entry. "Jacob Henderson," he says conversationally, "you're violating a restraining order that was filed less than 2 hours ago. Leave now, or I call the police and you'll be arrested." Through the crack in the bedroom door, Janelle can see part of the hallway. Jacob stands surrounded by 3 larger men. Friends from his football days, probably all muscle and misplaced loyalty. "You think a piece of paper scares me?" Jacob spits. "You think you can just waltz into my life, turn my girl against me, and there won't be consequences?" "She's not your girl," Desmond responds, his voice dropping to something colder. "She never was. You don't own her. You don't control her. And you certainly don't get to put your hands on her again." Each statement lands with quiet finality. One of Jacob's friends, a massive man with a shaved head, steps forward aggressively. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Desmond doesn't move, doesn't flinch. "Someone who keeps his promises." The simple statement hangs in the air, loaded with implication. Shaved head man looks uncertain, exchanging glances with his companions. They came expecting intimidation to work, but Desmond stands utterly unimpressed by their posturing. "I'll ask once more," Desmond says quietly. "Leave voluntarily or leave in handcuffs. Choose." Jacob's face twists with fury. "You're bluffing. You won't call the cops." His phone buzzes mid-sentence. He checks it, and confusion crosses his features. Then fear. He looks up at Desmond with new wariness. "What did you do?" Desmond's slight smile is cold. "I texted Detective Chun your current location and informed her you were violating the restraining order with witnesses present. She's dispatching officers now. They should arrive in approximately." He glances at his watch. 3 minutes. The hallway goes silent. Jacob's friends exchange looks. They signed up to intimidate, not to be present for an arrest. Shaved head man backs up first. "Man, I didn't know about any restraining order. I'm out." The other 2 follow quickly, muttering apologies as they retreat toward the stairs. Jacob stands alone now, his bravado crumbling. "You don't know what you've done," he says, his voice shaking with impotent rage. "You think you can protect her? I'll always find a way back. Always." Desmond's expression doesn't change. No, you won't, because every time you try, the consequences will escalate. This time, it's arrest. Next time, he lets the question hang, unfinished but clearly threatening. Distant sirens cut through the tension. Jacob's eyes widen. He looks at Desmond one more time, then turns and runs toward the stairs, his footsteps echoing his retreat. Desmond watches him go, then pulls out his phone. Detective Chan? He fled when he heard sirens, heading east through the back parking lot. 3 witnesses ran when they realized there was a restraining order. They're likely in a gray pickup truck. He listens for a moment, then nods. Understood. Thank you. He ends the call and turns back to the apartment, where Janelle and Sierra have emerged from the bedroom. They'll pick him up within the hour, he reports calmly, as though calling police on armed groups is routine. When they do, it'll be a clear violation of the restraining order. He'll spend at least tonight in lockup. Janelle sinks onto the couch, her legs unable to support her anymore. He brought backup. He actually brought 3 men to intimidate you. The reality of how dangerous the situation could have become crashes over her. Sierra sits beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. But Desmond handled it, without violence, without anyone getting hurt. Desmond holsters his phone, his posture finally relaxing slightly. Men like Jacob rely on intimidation. When it doesn't work, they have nothing left. He moves to the window, checking the parking lot once more. But he's right about one thing, he'll try again eventually. Which is why we need to make sure you have protections in place for the long term. Like what? Janelle asks wearily. Desmond turns back to face them. Like a better security system for your apartment. Like self-defense training so you feel more confident. Like ensuring your workplace knows about the restraining order and has protocols for if he shows up. He pauses. And like having my number on speed dial, in case legal protections aren't enough. The building's main entrance opens below, and uniformed officers enter, moving with purpose. Desmond watches them sweep the area, then nods in satisfaction. They'll take statements from your neighbors, document the violation, put out a warrant. He looks at Janelle directly. By tonight, Jacob Henderson will be in custody. And when he gets out, if he gets out, he'll think very carefully before approaching you again. Janelle wants to believe him. She wants to believe this nightmare is almost over. But fear has lived in her chest for so long that hope feels dangerous. What if the judge doesn't keep him? Desmond's expression softens fractionally. Then we adapt. But Janelle, he crosses the room, crouching slightly so they're eye level, maintaining respectful distance. You need to understand something. You're not the same person you were yesterday. You have documentation now, legal protections, people watching, and you have proof that he's willing to violate court orders. He's right, Janelle realizes. Everything has changed in less than 24 hours. She went from isolated and afraid to supported and documented. From hiding in a bathroom to filing official reports. From hoping Jacob would magically lose interest to actively building walls he can't climb. Thank you, she whispers. The words inadequate for everything Desmond has done. Don't thank me yet, he replies, echoing his words from last night. Thank me when you're free. He stands, checking his phone as it buzzes. They've located Jacob's car. He's being pulled over now. Relief and vindication and residual fear all crash together in Janelle's chest. It's happening. The system is finally working. Jacob is finally facing consequences. Sierra squeezes her shoulder. Come on, let's get you to my place. You can rest properly there, where he doesn't know the address. Janelle nods mutely, collecting her overnight bag. Desmond walks them down to Sierra's car, his eyes constantly scanning for threats. Before they drive away, he leans down to the passenger window where Janelle sits. My associate will watch this building tonight, he tells her, and I'll be available if you need me. Don't hesitate to call. Janelle meets his dark eyes, seeing concern and determination reflected there. Why are you doing all this? She asks one more time, needing to understand. Desmond is quiet for a moment, then simply says, because Minji would have wanted someone to help her this way, because every woman deserves to be safe, and because I made a promise when I responded to your text. I won't break it. The simple honesty breaks something loose in Janelle's chest. I won't forget this, she says quietly. Desmond nods once, then steps back, allowing Sierra to drive away. Janelle watches him in the side mirror until they turn the corner. Standing in the parking lot, hands in his pockets, guarding an empty space where she used to live in fear. Sierra's apartment smells like lavender and old books. Familiar, comforting, safe. The space is cluttered in the way of someone who works long shifts and doesn't prioritize tidying, but it feels lived in and warm. Janelle sets her overnight bag by the couch and immediately sinks into the cushions, exhaustion hitting her like a physical weight. Her phone buzzes with a notification. A text from Detective Chun. Jacob Henderson in custody. Bail hearing Monday morning. We'll keep you updated. She shows Sierra, who reads it while bringing 2 mugs of chamomile tea. Good. Let him sit in a cell and think about his choices. She settles beside Janelle, handing her the warm mug. Now, you need to eat something, take actual pain medication for your head, and sleep for more than 45 minutes at a time. Janelle wants to argue that she's not hungry, that sleeping feels impossible, that her mind won't stop racing. But Sierra knows her too well. Within minutes, there's soup heating on the stove and ibuprofen sitting beside Janelle's tea. The simple acts of care, being fed, being worried about, being protected, make tears spring to Janelle's eyes. Hey, Sierra says softly, noticing. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to feel everything you're feeling. You just survived something traumatic, and then you did the hardest thing. You took action against it. Janelle sets down her tea before it spills, letting the tears come. Not the quiet, controlled crying from last night, but full, heaving sobs that shake her whole body. Sierra simply holds her, murmuring comforting nonsense, letting her break down in safety. When the storm finally passes, Janelle feels hollowed out but cleaner somehow, like crying washed away some of the accumulated fear. I'm sorry, she hiccups. I'm a mess. You're a human being who's been through hell, Sierra corrects firmly. There's nothing to apologize for. She gets up to check the soup, stirring it thoughtfully. Can I ask you something? Janelle nods, wiping her eyes with the tissue Sierra tosses her. What are you going to do about Desmond? The question catches Janelle off guard. What do you mean? Sierra turns, leaning against the kitchen counter. I mean, this guy appeared out of nowhere, basically saved your life, and is clearly connected to something beyond regular civilian capacity. At some point, you're going to have to figure out what his presence in your life means. Janelle considers this carefully. He said he's helping because of his sister, because she didn't get help when she needed it. Sierra nods slowly. Okay, that's noble. But Janelle, she moves back to the couch, sitting close. Men like that don't stay around forever. They solve the problem and move on. You can't build your safety around him permanently. The words sting because they're true. Desmond has resources and connections and obvious capability, but he's not her boyfriend, not her family, not someone with a permanent obligation to protect her. He's a stranger who responded to a wrong number text and decided to help. Eventually, his help will end. I know, Janelle admits quietly, but right now, I need all the help I can get. I'm not saying don't accept his help, Sierra clarifies. I'm saying don't make him your only plan. Build other supports, therapy, self-defense classes. Legal protections that exist whether he's around or not. She squeezes Janelle's hand. Make yourself strong enough that you don't need rescuing. The words settle into Janelle's chest, taking root. Sierra is right. She can accept Desmond's help while also building her own foundation, one that doesn't depend on anyone's intervention. When did you get so wise? She asks with a watery smile. Sierra grins. About the same time I started working ER shifts and seeing what happens to women who don't have escape plans. They eat soup in companionable silence. The afternoon sun streaming through the windows. Traffic sounds muted from 3 stories up. For the first time in months, Janelle feels the tight knot in her chest loosening. She's not safe yet, not permanently, but she's safer than she was yesterday. That's progress. Her phone buzzes. A message from Desmond. Just confirming you arrived safely. My associate reports no activity at your building. Rest well. Simple, professional, exactly the kind of message he would send. Janelle types back, safe. Thank you for everything today. His response is immediate. Call if you need anything. Otherwise, I'll check in tomorrow. Sierra reads over her shoulder. See? Professional. Bounded. He's helping, but he's also maintaining appropriate distance. Janelle nods, understanding the subtext. Desmond isn't trying to become entangled in her life permanently. He's offering support during crisis, not building dependency. It should feel disappointing, but instead it feels respectful. Healthy. I'm going to take a shower, Janelle announces, standing carefully. Her body aches everywhere. Muscles stiff from tension and the awkward couch sleeping. Sierra points toward the bathroom. Towels are in the cabinet. Take your time. I'm working a night shift, so I need to leave by 6, but my roommate Alex will be home by 7. You'll like her. She's studying criminal justice. The hot water feels like absolution, washing away fear, sweat, and tension. Janelle stands under the spray until her skin prunes, letting the heat penetrate deep into sore muscles. When she finally emerges, wrapped in Sierra's oversized bathrobe, she finds her friend has made up the couch with fresh sheets and pillows. I'll be back tomorrow morning, Sierra says, pulling on her scrubs. Alex will be here if you need anything tonight. And Janelle, she pauses at the door. You're going to get through this. I promise. After Sierra leaves, the apartment feels larger, quieter. Janelle settles on the couch with her phone, scrolling through the documentation from today, photos of the restraining order, Detective Chen's contact information, Desmond's business card that she photographed as backup, evidence of action, proof that she's not helpless anymore. A key turns in the lock, and a young black woman with box braids enters, arms full of textbooks. You must be Janelle, she says warmly, setting her books on the kitchen counter. I'm Alex. Sierra told me everything. Well, probably not everything, but enough to know you've had a hell of a day. Her directness is refreshing. Janelle finds herself smiling. That's one way to put it. Alex moves around the kitchen with easy familiarity, pulling out ingredients for dinner. I'm making stir-fry. You hungry? Janelle realizes she is. The soup was hours ago, and her body needs fuel. Yes, actually. They cook together, Alex chattering about her criminal justice classes, carefully not pressing Janelle for details about her situation. This comfortable and normal in a way Janelle hasn't experienced in years. Over dinner, Alex casually mentions, if you want to talk about the legal stuff, I'm happy to listen. I've been studying domestic violence cases this semester, so I might have useful perspectives. The offer is gentle, no pressure. Janelle finds herself opening up, explaining the restraining order, the documentation, the fear that it won't be enough. Alex listens thoughtfully, then says, you did everything right. Documentation is key in these cases. The more evidence you build, the harder it is for him to claim it's a misunderstanding or overreaction. She pauses. And having someone like your friend Desmond who understands how to navigate the system, that's actually huge. Most victims don't have that. What do you mean? Janelle asks. Alex sets down her fork. I mean, someone who knew exactly what evidence to collect, how to document everything, which detective to work with. That's not random luck. That's someone who's either been through the system before or has significant experience with it. The observation makes Janelle wonder again about Desmond's past. What exactly happened to his sister Minji? How did her story end? And what did Desmond learn from it that made him so efficient at helping Janelle? He lost his sister, she says quietly. To someone like Jacob, I think. Alex's expression softens with understanding. That explains it. Trauma survivors who channel their pain into helping others. They're often the most effective advocates. She reaches across the table, squeezing Janelle's hand briefly. You're in good hands. Just remember to also build your own strength. Don't let anyone, even someone helping you, become another person you depend on to feel safe. The same advice Sierra gave her, but from a different angle. Janelle nods slowly, feeling the truth of it settle into her bones. How do I do that? Build my own strength. Alex grins. First, you survive, which you're doing. Then, you learn skills that make you confident in your ability to protect yourself. Then, you build a life that's so full of good things that your trauma becomes just one part of your story, not the whole thing. It sounds simple when Alex says it, though Janelle knows the execution will be harder. But for the first time, she can actually envision a future where Jacob is a distant memory rather than an ever-present threat. Thank you, she says quietly, both of you, you and Sierra, for giving me a place to land. That's what community is for, Alex responds simply. They clean up together, falling into easy rhythm. When Janelle's phone buzzes with another update from Detective Chun, Jacob denied bail. Will remain in custody until Monday hearing. Alex reads over her shoulder and whoops. Yes, that's exactly what should happen. Janelle feels a weight lift from her chest. Jacob is locked up. He can't come to the apartment. He can't send threatening messages. He can't sit in his car watching her building. For at least the next few days, she has breathing room. Space to think and plan and heal without constantly looking over her shoulder. She texts Desmond the update. His response. Good. Use this time to rest and recover. Monday will make sure the permanent order goes through. The "we" in that sentence makes something warm bloom in Janelle's chest. Not romantic, but something deeper. The knowledge that she doesn't have to face Monday's hearing alone. Alex sets up her textbooks at the kitchen table, studying while Janelle lies on the couch, exhaustion finally catching up to her. The sounds of pages turning and Alex's occasional muttered comments create a soothing soundtrack. For the first time in longer than she can remember, Janelle falls asleep without fear, without listening for footsteps, without wondering if tonight will be the night Jacob breaks down the door. She sleeps deeply, dreamlessly, her body finally allowing itself to rest now that her mind believes she's truly safe. When she wakes briefly in the middle of the night, disoriented, Alex is still at the table, now typing on her laptop. Just finishing a paper, she whispers when she notices Janelle stirring. Go back to sleep. Janelle does, comforted by the presence of another person keeping watch. Not because she needs protection, Jacob is locked up, but because community feels like the antidote to isolation. All the months she spent hiding her situation, making excuses, pulling away from friends because Jacob demanded it. All of that loneliness melts in the warmth of being surrounded by people who care. Sunday morning arrives with weak winter sunlight and the smell of coffee. Sierra has returned from her night shift, looking exhausted but determined. Okay, she announces, setting a bag of bagels on the counter. Today we make a plan. A real, comprehensive. This is how Janelle takes back her life plan. Janelle sits up slowly, her head still aching but manageable. Alex emerges from her bedroom, drawn by the smell of coffee. The three of them gather around the small kitchen table, bagels and cream cheese and coffee mugs creating an impromptu war council. First, Sierra says, pulling out a notepad, we need to figure out what happens after Monday's hearing. Assuming the permanent restraining order is granted, Alex adds, which it absolutely will be given the evidence. Janelle nods, trying to focus despite the lingering fog of exhaustion. Then what? I just go back to normal life. The question sounds absurd even as she asks it. Sierra exchanges a look with Alex. Define normal. Do you want to stay in your apartment? That place has a lot of trauma attached to it now. The truth hits Janelle like cold water. She hasn't consciously thought about it, but Sierra is right. The apartment is soaked in bad memories. Jacob's footsteps outside the bathroom door. The dent in the wall from his thrown phone. The spot on the hallway carpet where Desmond stood between her and danger. I don't know, she admits quietly. I can't afford to move, but I also can't imagine feeling safe there again. Alex leans forward, her expression thoughtful. What if you sublet it? Find a roommate who can take over the lease, while you find somewhere smaller and cheaper that Jacob doesn't know about. The suggestion sparks something in Janelle's chest. Possibility. I could do that, she says slowly. Start fresh somewhere he's never been. Somewhere that doesn't carry all this weight. Sierra makes a note. Okay, we'll start looking for potential sublets and new places for you. What else? Work. Janelle says the word heavy. I need to tell my manager about the restraining order. Make sure security knows not to let Jacob in the building. The thought of having that conversation, of exposing her private nightmare to her professional life, makes her stomach churn. But Alex is right about documentation. The more people who know and can enforce boundaries, the safer she becomes. Sierra writes it down. I'll come with you when you talk to HR if you want. Moral support. Janelle nods gratefully. What about other things? Therapy? Self-defense classes? All the stuff you both mentioned. Alex grins. Already researched it. There's a women's self-defense course starting next month at the community center. Sliding scale fees, trauma-informed instruction. The efficiency of her friend's planning makes Janelle's eyes burn with grateful tears. While she's been drowning in fear, they've been researching solutions. You two are amazing, she whispers. Sierra reaches across the table, gripping her hand. We're your people. This is what we do. Janelle's phone buzzes. A message from Desmond. Checking in. How are you managing? She types back. Better. Making plans for after Monday. His response. Good. That's healthy. Let me know if you need anything before the hearing. Professional, bounded, exactly what she's starting to understand is his way of helping without creating dependency. That your mysterious benefactor? Sierra asks, reading over her shoulder again. Janelle nods. He's checking in. Alex studies the exchange. He's maintaining appropriate distance while staying available. That's actually really healthy helper behavior. A lot of people in his position would try to become enmeshed in your life. The observation makes Janelle think. Desmond has been careful from the beginning, asking what she wants instead of deciding for her, maintaining physical distance, offering resources rather than doing everything himself. He's been teaching her agency even while providing protection. I need to thank him properly, she says. After Monday, when this is more settled. You could cook him dinner, Sierra suggests. Something nice but not romantic. Just a genuine thank you between friends. Janelle considers it. Do you think he'd come? He seems like someone who doesn't socialize much outside of. She trails off, unsure how to describe whatever Desmond's world entails. Alex shrugs. Only one way to find out. Ask him. She pulls out her laptop, navigating to a website. Meanwhile, let's start looking at apartments. What neighborhoods are you considering? They spend the next 2 hours scrolling through listings, marking possibilities, calculating costs. It's tedious but hopeful, building a future that exists beyond Jacob's shadow. Around noon, Janelle's phone rings. Detective Chin. She answers with shaky hands. Janelle, I wanted to update you personally. The bail denial has been upheld. Jacob will remain in custody until Monday's hearing, at which point the judge will decide whether to extend detention or release with conditions. What kind of conditions? Janelle asks, her voice tight. Chen's tone is reassuring. If released, he'll likely be ordered to wear an ankle monitor, maintain a distance of at least 1,000 feet from you at all times, and surrender his passport. Any violation results in immediate arrest without bail. It should feel like relief, but Janelle can only think about the word if released, not when. There's still a possibility that after Monday, Jacob walks out of custody with nothing but an ankle monitor between them. And if he violates the conditions, Chen's response is firm. Then he goes back to jail, and it strengthens our case for more serious charges. Janelle, I know this feels uncertain, but the system is working. He's facing real consequences now. After the call ends, Janelle relays the information to Sierra and Alex. They process it quietly, the earlier optimism dimming slightly. An ankle monitor isn't perfect, Alex admits, but it's better than nothing, and it means authorities will know immediately if he gets within 1,000 feet of you. That's not that far, Janelle says quietly. That's just a few blocks. Sierra squeezes her shoulder. Which is why you're moving to a new place he doesn't know about. Which is why you're building skills and supports and legal protections. You're stacking advantages, Janelle. Each one makes you safer. The afternoon passes in a blur of planning and research. Janelle calls her workplace, scheduling a meeting with HR for Tuesday morning. She screenshots more of Jacob's old threatening messages, building her documentation. She reads articles Alex sends about restraining order enforcement and victim rights. She's not just surviving anymore. She's actively constructing a life that Jacob can't penetrate. Around dinner time, Desmond texts again. I'd like to meet tomorrow before the hearing. Review what to expect, make sure you feel prepared. Are you available? Janelle shows her friends. Should I? Sierra nods decisively. Yes, going into that hearing informed and confident will make a huge difference. Janelle replies, yes. When and where? Desmond, 10 a.m. There's a cafe 2 blocks from the courthouse. I'll send the address. A pin drops in their message thread, marking a small independent coffee shop. Janelle confirms, then sets her phone aside. Okay, Alex says, closing her laptop with finality. We've made good progress today. You have a plan for housing, work, legal stuff. You're meeting with Desmond tomorrow to prep for the hearing. You're doing everything right, Janelle. The affirmation settles into Janelle's chest, warm and solid. That night, Sierra insists Janelle take the actual bedroom while she sleeps on the couch. You need proper rest before tomorrow, she argues when Janelle protests. No negotiating. Alone in Sierra's room, surrounded by familiar scents and the accumulated comfort of a friend's space, Janelle lies in the dark and takes stock. 48 hours ago, she was hiding in a bathroom, texting the wrong number in desperation. Now she has a restraining order, documentation, supportive friends, a plan for moving forward, and a mysterious stranger who appeared out of nowhere and decided her life was worth protecting. The transformation feels impossible, yet here she is, still afraid, still hurting, but no longer helpless. She texts Desmond one more time. Can I ask you something? His response is immediate despite the late hour. Of course. Janelle types carefully. After Monday, after the hearing, after all this is more settled. Can I buy you dinner? To thank you properly? The typing indicator appears, disappears, appears again. Finally, "You don't owe me anything, Janelle." "But yes, I'd like that." The acceptance makes something unclench in her chest. Not romantic interest. She's nowhere near ready for that. But the desire to have Desmond in her life as a real person, not just a crisis responder. To understand who he is beyond the protective stranger. She falls asleep with her phone on the nightstand, Desmond's last message still on the screen, feeling safer than she has in 2 years. Tomorrow she'll meet him, prepare for the hearing, take another step toward freedom. But tonight, she simply sleeps, deep and dreamless and healing. Monday morning arrives cold and clear. Janelle dresses carefully in clothes Sierra helped her pick, professional but comfortable. A navy blazer over a soft cream blouse, dark jeans. The bandage on her head is smaller now, less noticeable, but the bruise beneath her eye has deepened to purple-yellow. She considers covering it with makeup, then decides against it. Let the judge see. Let everyone see what Jacob did. Sierra drives her to the cafe, pulling up to the curb exactly at 10. Through the window, Janelle can already see Desmond sitting at a corner table, 2 coffee cups waiting. He's dressed in another impeccable suit, charcoal gray this time. His posture relaxed but alert. When she enters, he stands immediately, a gesture of respect that makes her chest tighten with emotion. "You look stronger," he observes quietly as she settles into the chair across from him. It's not flattery, just fact. Janelle does feel stronger. 48 hours of sleep and support and active planning have restored something in her that months of fear had eroded. "I feel stronger," she admits. Accepting the coffee, he slides across to her. "Thanks to you." Desmond shakes his head slightly. "Thanks to you. I just showed up. You did the hard work." Facing him, filing reports, building protections. He pulls out a thin folder, setting it on the table between them. "This is what to expect today. The hearing will be brief, probably 20 minutes. The judge will review the temporary restraining order, examine the evidence, and hear from both sides." Both sides. Janelle's stomach clenches. Jacob gets to talk? Desmond nods calmly. He has that right, but his words work against him now. Anything he says will be weighed against documented evidence. Your injuries, his threatening messages, witness statements, his violation of the temporary order. He taps the folder. Detective Chun submitted a full report. It's damning. Janelle opens the folder with trembling hands. Inside are photos she doesn't remember being taken, her injuries from multiple angles, professional and clinical. Printed screenshots of Jacob's messages. Timestamps highlighted. A written statement from Desmond describing what he witnessed. Even a brief statement from Sierra about Janelle's emotional state over the past months. The comprehensiveness takes her breath away. "When did all this happen?" she whispers. Desmond's expression softens slightly. "While you were resting." Detective Chun is thorough when she commits to a case. "And I made sure she had everything she needed." He pauses. "You're not alone in this, Janelle. That's what I need you to understand before we go in there. You have documentation. You have witnesses. You have legal support. Jacob can't talk his way out of facts." The words settle into Janelle like steel, strengthening her spine. "What do I say? When it's my turn?" Desmond leans forward slightly. "Tell the truth. Calmly, clearly, without emotion if you can manage it. Describe the pattern, how long it's been happening, what you've tried, why you're afraid. The judge needs to see that you're rational and credible, not hysterical or vindictive." "I'm terrified of seeing him again," Janelle admits quietly. Desmond's eyes hold hers steadily. "I know, but he'll be in custody, wearing jail clothes, flanked by guards. You'll be free, dressed professionally, surrounded by support. The power dynamic has shifted. Let him see that." They spend the next 30 minutes reviewing possible questions, practicing responses, discussing what happens after the hearing regardless of outcome. Desmond is patient and thorough, never rushing her, always checking to ensure she understands. By the time they finish, Janelle feels prepared. Not confident, she's still terrified, but prepared. At 11:30, they walk together to the courthouse, Sierra meeting them at the entrance. Detective Chun is already inside, conferring with a woman in a sharp suit who Desmond identifies as the prosecutor assigned to the case. Everything feels official and real in a way that makes Janelle's hands shake. Desmond notices immediately. Breathe, he reminds her gently. You're doing this because you deserve safety. Remember that. The courtroom is smaller than she expected, wood-paneled and formal, with fluorescent lights that hum faintly. Janelle sits in the front row between Sierra and Desmond, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. When the bailiff calls the case, her heart hammers so hard she's sure everyone can hear it. Jacob is brought in through a side door, wearing orange jail scrubs, his hands cuffed in front of him. He looks smaller somehow, diminished by custody, by consequences, by the loss of control. When his eyes find Janelle, she sees fury and desperation warring in his expression. But for the first time in 2 years, she doesn't look away. She holds his gaze steadily until he drops his eyes first. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes and silver hair pulled into a bun, reviews the file in silence. The seconds stretch impossibly long. Finally, she looks up. Ms. Porter, you're requesting a permanent restraining order against Mr. Henderson based on domestic violence, stalking, and harassment. Is that correct? Janelle stands on shaking legs. Yes, Your Honor. Her voice comes out stronger than she expected. The judge nods once. Mr. Henderson, you have the right to contest this order. Do you wish to present a defense? Jacob's public defender, a tired-looking man in an ill-fitting suit, stands. Your Honor, my client maintains that this is a misunderstanding between romantic partners. There was an argument. Emotions ran high, but nothing that warrants permanent legal intervention. The judge's expression doesn't change. I've reviewed the evidence submitted by the police department, photographs documenting injuries, medical records from Ms. Porter's treatment, text messages containing explicit threats, and a verified report that Mr. Henderson violated the temporary restraining order less than 48 hours after it was issued. She looks directly at Jacob. That doesn't sound like a misunderstanding to me. Jacob's lawyer shifts uncomfortably. Your Honor, my client denies any violence. The judge cuts him off with a raised hand. The photographic evidence contradicts that denial. Ms. Porter, would you like to make a statement? Janelle stands again, her legs more steady now. She thinks of Desmond's words, calm, clear, factual. Your Honor, Jacob Henderson has been harassing me for 6 months since I ended our relationship. He's shown up at my apartment uninvited. He's sent threatening messages when I blocked his number. He's waited in his car outside my building to intimidate me. When I tried to file a police report 6 months ago, it was buried because his cousin is a sergeant. She pauses, letting that sink in. I spent 2 years afraid in my own home. I don't want to be afraid anymore. The judge's expression softens fractionally. Thank you, Ms. Porter. She turns to the prosecutor. I see you're also recommending charges beyond the restraining order violation. The prosecutor stands. Yes, Your Honor. Assault, stalking, and harassment. The evidence supports all 3 charges. The courtroom goes silent. Janelle's heart pounds. This is more than she expected, not just a restraining order, but actual criminal charges. The judge reviews her notes once more, then delivers her ruling with crisp efficiency. I'm granting the permanent restraining order. Mr. Henderson is prohibited from contacting Ms. Porter through any means, approaching within 1,000 feet of her residence or workplace, or attempting communication through third parties. This order is permanent and will remain in effect indefinitely. Relief crashes over Janelle like a wave. Sierra grips her hand tightly, but the judge isn't finished. Additionally, I'm ordering Mr. Henderson to remain in custody pending trial on the assault and stalking charges. Given his violation of the temporary order and the documented pattern of escalation, I consider him a flight risk and a danger to Ms. Porter's safety. Bail is denied. Jacob erupts. You can't just... The guards move immediately, restraining him. His lawyer tries to interject, but the judge silences him with a look. Mr. Henderson, any further outbursts will be considered contempt of court. Do you understand? Jacob's mouth closes, but his eyes burn with impotent rage as he glares at Janelle. She stares back, and something shifts inside her. He can't hurt her anymore. He's in custody. He faces criminal charges. He violated a court order and now he's paying for it. All the power he held over her, all the fear he cultivated, all the control he demanded, has evaporated in the face of documentation and consequences. The judge bangs her gavel. Court is adjourned. As Jacob is led away, still struggling against his restraints, Janelle remains seated, processing what just happened. She won. The system worked. She's free. Outside the courtroom, Detective Chun approaches with a slight smile. Good work in there. You were composed and credible. She hands Janelle a business card. The trial will be scheduled in the next few weeks. I'll be in touch with updates. In the meantime, keep documenting anything unusual. But honestly, I think he's done. Sierra wraps Janelle in a fierce hug. You did it. I'm so proud of you. Alex appears from the back of the courtroom. Janelle hadn't even known she was there and joins the hug. That was amazing. You stood up there and claimed your right to be safe. Desmond hangs back slightly, giving them space. But when Janelle looks at him over Sierra's shoulder, she sees genuine satisfaction in his expression. When her friends finally release her, she crosses to him. Thank you, she says simply, for everything, for coming when I called, for helping me build this case, for teaching me I could do this. Desmond inclines his head. You always could. You just needed someone to stand with you until you remembered. He glances at his phone. I have to go, business I've delayed too long already. But I meant what I said about dinner. When you're ready, let me know. He turns to leave, then pauses. Janelle, you're going to be okay. Better than okay. You're going to be free. Watching him walk away, tall and composed and already mentally shifting to whatever comes next. Janelle feels the truth of his words settling into her bones. She is going to be okay. Not today, not immediately, but eventually. The fear will fade. The hypervigilance will ease. The freedom she's just won will become her new normal. The afternoon passes in a blur of relief and exhaustion. They stop for lunch at a small diner where Sierra and Alex make her eat actual food. They drive back to Sierra's apartment where Janelle collapses on the couch, finally allowing her body to release the tension it's been holding for days. Her phone buzzes with congratulatory texts. From Sierra's boyfriend Marcus, from Alex's girlfriend, from coworkers who somehow heard the news, and one from Desmond. Congratulations on your freedom. You earned it. Janelle saves the message, smiling despite her exhaustion. She'll take him up on that dinner offer soon, not as repayment, but because she genuinely wants to know the man behind the mysterious intervention. Who is Desmond Rue when he's not rescuing strangers? What does he care about? What makes him laugh? But that's a question for later. Right now, she needs to focus on the immediate future. Moving to a new apartment, settling into life without fear, rebuilding herself piece by piece. She opens her contacts, scrolling to Jacob's name. Her thumb hovers over it for just a moment, remembering all the times she almost deleted it but couldn't quite commit. This time, she doesn't hesitate. Delete contact. Block number. The actions take seconds, but they feel monumental. She's erasing him from her phone, from her life, from her future. The restraining order makes it official, but this feels personal. Final. Sierra notices from the kitchen. What are you doing? Janelle looks up, her eyes bright with unshed tears. Not sadness, but release. I'm choosing peace. Sierra grins, understanding immediately. Good. That's exactly what you deserve. That night, Janelle sleeps in Sierra's spare bedroom with the door unlocked and the lights off. No fear of footsteps in the hallway. No listening for the sound of keys in a lock. No wondering if tonight will be the night Jacob finally goes too far. Just silence and safety and the knowledge that tomorrow, she gets to wake up free. The next morning, she starts looking at apartments in earnest. By the end of the week, she's found a small studio in a neighborhood Jacob has never been to. Top floor, good security, close to public transit. She signs the lease with trembling hands, paying the deposit with money she's been secretly saving for months. Her own place, her fresh start. 2 weeks later, she meets Desmond for dinner at a quiet Korean restaurant he recommends. He's dressed more casually than she's ever seen him. Dark jeans, a simple black sweater, the neck tattoo fully visible. They talk for hours about his sister Minji and her tragic end, about his work solving problems for people the system fails, about Janelle's plans for the future. I'm starting therapy next month, she tells him over bulgogi. And that self-defense course Sierra found. Desmond nods approvingly. Good. Build yourself back stronger than before. He pauses, choosing his words carefully. I won't always be available if you need help. My work takes me places, sometimes for weeks at a time. You need to know you can protect yourself. I know, Janelle says quietly. I'm learning that. Learning to be my own first responder. Desmond's slight smile suggests approval. They part ways outside the restaurant with a handshake that feels oddly formal given everything they've been through together. But Janelle understands. Desmond is maintaining boundaries, ensuring she builds independence rather than trading one dependency for another. 3 months later, settled into her new apartment with furniture she picked herself, Janelle receives a text from an unknown number. I'm watching you. You can't hide forever. For just a moment, old fear spikes through her chest. Then she looks at the sender details. It's not Jacob's number. It's not anyone she recognizes. She screenshots the message, forwards it to Detective Chun, blocks the number, and goes back to making dinner. 10 minutes later, Chun calls. That message was sent from the jail. Jacob convinced another inmate to contact you. He's now facing additional charges for violating the restraining order. His trial date just got pushed back, and he's looking at more jail time. Janelle hangs up feeling oddly calm. Jacob is still trying to control her, still trying to instill fear, but it's not working anymore. He's locked up. She's free. And every time he tries to reach her, he just extends his own consequences. The power dynamic has completely reversed. She doesn't text Desmond about the incident, doesn't need his intervention anymore. Instead, she calls Sierra, who comes over with wine and bad movies. They spend the evening laughing on Janelle's new couch, in her new apartment, in her new life. A life without fear. A life she built herself. 6 months after that wrong number text changed everything. Janelle wakes up in her studio apartment and realizes she hasn't thought about Jacob in 3 days. He's become background noise. A closed chapter. A problem solved. A threat neutralized. She has a job she's good at, friends who support her, skills that make her confident, and legal protections that actually work. She texts Desmond, "Thank you for teaching me I could save myself." His response comes hours later. He's probably halfway around the world solving someone else's impossible problem. You already knew. I just reminded you. Stay safe, Janelle Porter. Standing at her window, watching the city wake up below her. Janelle finally understands what freedom feels like. Not the absence of fear that took longer to fade, but the presence of choice. The ability to decide her own path, build her own life, choose her own future. She deletes Jacob's contact one final time. She'd unblocked him briefly to document his jail messages, then blocked again. This time feels permanent, final. She's not defined by what he did to her. She's defined by how she survived it, how she fought back, how she built something better from the ashes of fear. The story ends not with romance or revenge, but with something better, peace. Janelle Porter texted the wrong number and found the help she needed, but more importantly, she found herself. Strong, capable, free. And that, she decides as sunlight streams through her window, is the only ending she ever really needed.